Hello everyone, welcome. So today we are going to start phase equilibria, and this chapter is included in syllabus of BSc Part 2 in most of the universities. So if you are the chemistry student of BSc in any university of India, then this video will be very beneficial for you. Even though if you are the student of MSc or any other higher classes or junior classes and you are interested in studying this topic, then it will be very helpful for you. So let's begin. So in this video we will discuss some basic concepts including the introduction of the phase equilibria, that what is phase equilibria, and then after we will study about the phase rule, that what is phase rule, where it is applied, then types of system, that how many types of systems are there and which system is used in phase rule or phase equilibria, and then we will study about the terms involved in the phase rule. Yeah, there are some terms which are involved in the phase rule, and it is important to understand and learn about these terms so that we could apply this phase rule on the particular system. Then we will discuss briefly about the phase, that what is phase and how many phases can be there, and all about the phases. Then after the component, that what is component, how many components can be there in a system, and the most important, we will learn to calculate the number of components, that how many components are there, how many number of components are there in particular system. So let's begin. So we'll start with the introduction of the phase equilibria, that actually what is phase equilibria. But to study phase equilibria we need to understand one thing, that is what is heterogeneous system. So let's start. A system in which constituents are present in two or more phases. So listen, these phases can be solid, liquid or gas. Only this can be phase. So a system in which the constituents are present in two or more phases are heterogeneous system, and the equilibria which is existing between these two phases, that is called phase equilibria. Just for example, let's imagine that there are two phases, that is one is solid phase and one is liquid phase in a particular system. Then if these two phases are present in one particular system, then that system is heterogeneous system. And then the equilibria which exists between these two phases, that is solid or liquid, so this equilibria is phase equilibria. So whatever the equilibria which exists between two phases are phase equilibria, right? I hope it's clear to all. So let's have a brief idea about the phase rule. So it is an important generalization dealing with the heterogeneous equilibria. This is nothing but a generalization. And with the heterogeneous equilibria, heterogeneous system we have understood, where one or two or more phases are present, that is heterogeneous system, and the equilibria existing between two phases are heterogeneous equilibria. So this is nothing but generalization which deals with the heterogeneous equilibria. Okay, so this rule was discovered by J.W. Gibbs. This rule was discovered by J.W. Gibbs in 1875, and that is why this is known as Gibbs phase rule. It is important to note this rule was given by J.W. Gibbs in 1875 and is known as Gibbs phase rule. That is why this is known as Gibbs phase rule. So first of all, let's understand the system, which is of two types, that is homogeneous and heterogeneous, right? So homogeneous contain only one phase, either it will be solid phase, either it will be liquid or gaseous phase, but it will contain only one phase, okay? Whereas heterogeneous system contains more than one phase. It may be solid liquid, it may be solid liquid gas, three phases also can be there, but it will contain more than one phases, okay? It will have more than one phases. In homogeneous system, physical and chemical properties are same. Definitely if the phase is one, then definitely the physical and chemical properties will be same. But in heterogeneous system, physical and chemical properties are not same. Sorry, there is this, are not same, okay? Physical and chemical properties are not same. So this is all about the system. And yeah, one more thing, that heterogeneous system is used in phase equilibria. Why? Because phase equilibria is the equilibria between two phases, and for having phase equilibria, there must be two phases. Only one phase is present over there. That is why no phase equilibria is there. So it will not be used in homogeneous systems, are not used in phase equilibria, because phase equilibria cannot exist between one phase, right? But in heterogeneous system, there are more than one phase. That is why phase equilibria applied here, and we will study all about the heterogeneous system will be used here in this topic, right? So let's move. So now the Gibbs phase rule. That what is Gibbs phase rule? So Gibbs gave this rule in mathematical term, right? It was a mathematical term. But if it want to just give some words to that, then it states that in heterogeneous system, please always remember that Gibbs phase rule is only and only for the heterogeneous system. I have already discussed why heterogeneous system only. Because phase equilibria can exist between two or more than two phases, and for that there must be more than two phases in a system, and that is possible in heterogeneous system. So it states that in a heterogeneous system in equilibrium, and that must be in equilibrium, the sum of number of phases and the number of degree of freedom is equal to number of component plus 2. So this is all about this. P is the number of phases, F is degree of freedom, C is the number of component, and plus 2. Now, what is phases, you know, but what is degree of freedom, it will be discussed later. It is very important and it will be discussed. C for number of components, and it will be also discussed. So, before applying this Gibbs phase rule, we have a just statement about the Gibbs phase rule, and this is the Gibbs phase rule. But to understand and just apply this Gibbs phase rule, we have to understand each and every term of this Gibbs phase rule, that about the phase, degree of freedom, number of components to apply. So let's begin, and we will understand each and everything about all the terms involved here in the Gibbs phase rule. So let's begin. So what are the terms involved in Gibbs phase rule? We have already seen, that is P, C and F. Yeah, right? So P stands for phase, C for component, and F for degree of freedom, which is also known as the variance, right? So we will discuss each and every term one by one. So let's start with the phase. So what is phase? A phase may be defined as a part of a system which is homogeneous and separated from other parts of the system by a distinct boundary. Yes. Now the question arises, why this homogeneous word is used? So I will discuss this. So a phase may be defined as any part of system. It is homogeneous. Why? Because we are talking about one particular part of the system, and one part will have one phase, and that is why that one particular part is homogeneous. So a phase may be defined as any part of the system which is homogeneous and separated from other part of the system by a distinct boundary. What does it mean? That if there is a system which contains solid and liquid, both the phases, then they are separated by the distinct boundary. So we are talking about this particular either solid or liquid, this particular one phase. So that is one phase, solid is one phase, liquid is one phase. Now the second point is, they may be physically or chemically different from other parts of the same system. Yeah, this is the same system, and there are two phases, that is solid and liquid, in the same system, and the physical and chemical property, they may be different. These both occur in equilibria there, but they can be different physically and chemically, and they are mechanically separable from other parts of the system. And one more thing, that these parts can be mechanically separated from other parts of the system, and that is all about the phase. So let's learn about the important facts about the phase, and we will discuss everything here. That the phase may or may not be continuous. Yeah, the phase may or may not be continuous. It is not important that phase will be continuous. They can be or they cannot be continuous. and the phase must be in contact with each other through boundary surface. Yeah, this is also important, that if there is a system and having two phases, that solid and liquid, and they are in equilibria, so they must be must have a contact through their boundary surface. There is a boundary between them, so they are in contact with each other with this particular boundary. And the most important is the mixture of gases will have single phases. Definitely, if we will mix 2 or more, or 10 or 20 or more than 20 gases, then after mixing they will have a single phase. Why? Because after mixing, they all will be gas, they all are gas in one phase, so definitely after mixing they will be having one phase. So always remember that mixture of gases will always have single phase. जो गैसेस के मिक्सचर होते हैं उनमें भी सिंगल फेज ही होता है. Then after colloidal solution, we will talk about the colloidal solution, that what about the phase of colloidal solution. So colloidal solution consists of more than one phase. Colloidal solution consists of more than one phase. Why? Because it is not having a single phase. That is why it is colloidal solution. So yeah, and the next point is the true solution consists of single phase. Definitely we have studied about the true solution, we all know, so that is of single phase. Then the saturated solution of solid consists of two phases. Definitely the saturated solution, what is saturated solution? That if a solution is there which is saturated, and then after we will mix anything here, then it will not mix in that particular solution. That is why it will have two phases. Okay, so always remember that saturated solution of a solid consists of two phases. Mixture of solid have phase equal to number of different solid. Definitely if we are mixing solids, then they will have number of phases equal to whatever the number of different solids we are mixing in that. Then after, the non-miscible liquids have more than one phase. Definitely non-miscible liquids have more than one phase because they are not going to mix with each other properly, and they will not be the true solutions. Miscible liquids have one phase because they will mix each other and they will make in one phase. Then after, the homogeneous solution, definitely homogeneous solutions will have one phase and they are having one phase, that is why they are homogeneous solution. So now we will study about the system and some system, and we will just calculate number of phases present in that particular system. But yeah, before starting this, I would like to make sure that I hope you all have understood all these, and now we will start, and we have to apply all this previous knowledge in this particular questions, right? So let's begin. So here number of systems have been written and number of phases we have to find out. So ice and water. So what about ice and water? Ice is of solid phase, right? Ice, if there is a system containing ice and water, ice is solid and water is liquid. And when both are mixed, what will we get? We will get two phases, that is one solid and one liquid. So that is number of phases are two in this particular system, and out of which one is solid and one is liquid. I hope it's clear. Okay, so next system is water and water vapor. Yes, water is, we can say water, it means it is in liquid phase, right? And water vapor is in gaseous phase. So a system containing a liquid and a gaseous phase will have two number of phases. Why? One is liquid and one is gas, right? I hope it's clear. And then the third system is ice, water and water vapor. Ice means solid, water means liquid, and water vapor it means gas. It will have gaseous phase. So there will be three number of phases in this particular system, and one will be solid, one will be liquid, and one will be gas. I hope it's clear. Then monoclinic and rhombic sulfur, right? So monoclinic sulfur and there is a rhombic sulfur in a particular system, then number of phase will be 2 and both the phases will be of solid, right? It will be of solid phase because both the sulfur are of different phases of one sulfur, right? Then the mixture of nitrogen and oxygen gas. So we have studied that when there are so many gases are mixed, then after also there will be only one phase. Why? Because gases can have only one phase. So when nitrogen, oxygen or any other gas are mixed, it will have only one phase. So in this particular system containing nitrogen and oxygen gas, it will have one phase. Okay. And aqueous solution of KCl, when KCl is mixed in water, that is aqueous solution of KCl, it will also have one phase, right? I hope it's clear, and please try it at your own to do this. Now we will start component. That what is component? I hope number of phases, to find out the number of phases, it is clear to all. And then we'll start the components, that what is component and how we can calculate the number of component. So let's begin. So the number of component of a system at equilibrium, we have to talk about the phase equilibrium. So definitely please always remember that the system will be always at equilibrium. This is very important part. We have to remember system will be at equilibrium every time while studying this chapter. So the number of components of a system at equilibrium is defined as the smallest number of independently variable constituents. Yes, independently variable constituents by means of which the composition of each phase present can be expressed either directly or in the form of a chemical equation, and negative and zero sign being permitted. So what we have studied, that smallest number of independently variable constituent, and that will be the component. So see, component of a system may or may not be same as actual substance present in the system. It is important that if in a system there are so many substances will be present, but it is not important that component of a system will be same as the actual substance. No, it may be same, it may not be same. And only those constituents of an equilibrium mixture can undergo independent variation are regarded as components. Yeah, we have studied already that independent variation is important, and which constituent will undergo independent variation, they will be regarded as the components only. Okay. So for example, we have the water system. We will study about the water system in next classes. So we have a water system in which includes solid, liquid and gas. These three phases like ice, water and vapor, they are in equilibrium. So this is a phase equilibrium system, and this is known as the water system. So this system consists of one component only. Why one component? See, we can see solid, liquid and gas. Three phases are present here, but component is only one. Why? Because the composition of, if we have to talk about the composition of ice, then what will we say? We will say H2O, right? We will talk about H2O. We have to talk about water, liquid, we will talk about H2O. We have to talk about vapor, gases, we will talk about H2O. So for representing all the three phases, what will we do? These can be expressed directly in form of H2O. That is why this is only one component system. Why? Because it can be directly, all the three phases can be directly expressed as H2O. I hope you understand. So that is why this is a one component system. Now just take a second example, that is sulfur system. We will also study this sulfur system in the next videos. So its sulfur system consists of four phases. It is having four phases, that is monoclinic, rhombic, liquid and vapor. These four phases are present in this particular sulfur system. But still this is also one component system. Why? Because composition of each phase can be expressed in terms of one constituent, and that is sulfur. That is sulfur. If we have to talk about the monoclinic, we will talk about sulfur. Rhombic, it can be expressed as sulfur. Liquid, it will be expressed as sulfur, and vapor, it will be also expressed as sulfur. All the four phases can be expressed directly in terms of one constituent, and that is sulfur. That is why it is one component system. I hope it is clear. Now let's take the third example, which includes the decomposition of calcium carbonate, CaCO3. So CaCO3 can be decomposed, and the equilibrium is shown here. CaCO3 is in solid phase, and when it is decomposed, this is CaO and CO2. CaO is in solid phase and CO2 is gas, we know. So we can see there are three constituents of being three different phases, right? But the composition of each phase can be expressed in terms of two constituents only, right? For example, अगर हम बात करते हैं that we have chosen only two constituent from here, that is CaO and CO2, right? So CaCO3, it can be written, this is the CaCO3. Please try to understand, this is CaCO3, and it is the composition of CaO and CO2, right? If we talk about the CaO, so this is the composition of CaO plus 0 CO2. If we talk about the CO2, then this is the composition of 0 CaO plus CO2. What we can see, that only two compositions are required to express just particular phase, right? So that is why this is two component system. See, if the constituent chosen are, if we have to choose only two constituents, that is CaCO3 we have chosen and CO2. Earlier we have chosen CaO and CO2. Now we are choosing CaCO3 and CO2. We can see CaCO3 having CaCO3 plus 0 CO2. CaO, this is having CaCO3 minus CO2. And CO2, it is having 0 CaCO3 plus CO. Now we have one more thing to understand. If the constituent chosen are CaCO3 and CaO, now we are choosing CaCO3 and CaO. Now what will happen? So CaCO3 is there. It can be shown in the composition of CaCO3 and 0 CaO. And CaO, this one is the CaCO. So CaO is, it can be represented as 0 CaCO3 plus CaO, and CO2 can be represented like this. So thus in all the cases, we have studied three cases here. The smallest number of constituent which fix the composition of phases present at equilibrium is 2. Hence, the dissociation of CaCO3 by heat is a two component system. We can see only two compositions are required to just fix the number of composition here, the phase here, right? So here also we can see in this here that only two compositions are required. That is why this is a two component system. So this is all about the components. Now there is a homework for all of you to do. If you have studied all these things, then please first of all we will learn how to calculate the number of components. So this is all about the calculation of number of components. So this is only for the chemically reactive system. Please consider this. This is only for the chemically reactive system. So what is, first of all, just write down the formula, that is C is equal to S minus E minus R. Now I will tell you that what is C, S, E, R. So C is the number of components here which we have to find out. S is the total number of constituents. What are the constituents in that particular system? E is the number of equations representing equilibria. And R is the number of restrictions for electrical neutrality. It will be considered if ions are considered over here. So let's apply this one. So in this particular example, Na2SO4 H2O, this is a system, right? And we are talking about the Na2SO4 H2O system. So if we assume that there is no dissociation, okay, then if we assume that there is no dissociation, then S will be 2. What is S? Yes, what is S? Let's revise it once more. S is the total number of constituent. Please remember, S is the total number of constituent. E is the number of equation representing equilibria, and R is the number of restrictions for electrical neutrality. So S is total number of constituent. So total number of constituent will be 2, and E will be 0 here, R will be 0. So what about C? Number of component is equal to S minus E minus R. See, we can see total number of constituents are 2, that is Na2SO4 and H2O, right? So C is equal to 2 and this is 2 component system. This is 2 component system. Why? We have seen. Now, if we assume that there is complete dissociation of salt, so we are talking about Na2SO4 H2O. So S will be 3. Why 3 number of constituent? Because one will be sodium, second will be sulfate, and third will be OH. These three are dissociated. So S will be 3, E will be 0, R will be 1, and then after number of component is equal to 2. So that is why this is 2 component system. Now calculate the number of component in these 3 solution, that is solution of KCl in water. Try to do this. You can do solution of acetic acid in water and dissociation of PCl5. And if there is any doubt, I am here to help you out. So drop your questions in the comment box. And that's all about the today's class. Thank you so much.